Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Cherrie Ann Mahan was born on August 14th, 1976, and she disappeared the afternoon of February 22nd, 1985. Cherrie Ann was only 8 years old when she disappeared. Cherrie Ann's disappearance is one of the most infamous unsolved missing child cases in the United States. Cherrie Ann was the first missing child to be depicted upon postcards distributed nationwide alongside a headline reading, "Have you seen me?" Cherrie Ann Mahan boarded the school bus outside her elementary school and rode to her usual stop outside the home she shared with her mother and stepfather, Janice and Leroy McKinney. Several witnesses, including her schoolmates, saw Cherrie Ann get off the bus and began walking towards her home, which was approximately 50 yards away. Janice, Cherrie's mother, became pregnant with Cherrie when she was raped at the age of 15. Although the circumstances were difficult, Janice formed a very close bond with her daughter, and the publication described their relationship as extremely close. Janice was indeed a single mother until she met Vietnam veteran Leroy McKinney, and they got married. Leroy cared deeply for Cherrie and treated her as if she were his own. In the late 1984, they moved to Cornplanter Road in Butler County. Cherrie Ann attended Winfield Elementary School, where she was regarded as a bright pupil and indeed a happy child. And Leroy was employed as a postal worker. The neighborhood was described as safe for children to play outside, and residents rarely locked their doors. On the afternoon of the 22nd of February 1985, Cherrie Ann, along with three other children, exited the bus at approximately 4:10 p.m. Debbie Burke was parked in a van at the bus stop, waiting for her two children and another child whom she had agreed to drive home. Debbie said the three children got into her van and Cherrie continued walking towards her home. Although she did not witness anything unusual, she did say that she noticed another van parked at the corner which Cherrie would have had to pass. Leroy McKinney was outside waiting on the porch when he heard the school bus pull up and the children getting off the bus. Although he often walked to the end of the driveway to meet Cherrie, Janice told him that she will be running up soon, as she was excited to go to a play date. After 5 or 10 minutes, Leroy did walk to the bus stop and could not find any trace of Cherrie Ann. After checking with friends, the McKinneys realized something was wrong and reported her missing. It was confirmed that Cherrie Ann got off at the right stop and began walking towards her home. Nobody witnessed what happened to her thereafter. The only evidence was a set of tire tracks in the snow where Debbie Burke said the other van was. The children who were on the bus also remembered seeing the blue van. According to the children, the van, a 1970s Dodge, followed behind the bus for several miles. It was blue and had large murals of mountains and a downhill skier. Law enforcement were immediately joined by family and neighbors in searching for Cherrie Ann. However, the early effort were hampered by a thick fog. Within weeks, up to 250 people and helicopters were scanning the region for Cherrie Ann, or then for the van. The FBI eventually joined the search. They were also unsuccessful. Now, there can be several explanations for Cherrie Ann's disappearance, but law enforcement believes that she was kidnapped and taken out of the region, because if she had gotten lost or was killed near her home, they would have found some trace of her. 2 months later, the family raised $39,000 for information, and a local business also pledged an additional $10,000 for information, leading to an arrest or the recovery of Cherrie Ann. Cherrie's family and law enforcement throughout the nation made sure every media outlet and newspaper in the United States would distribute information about Cherrie Ann and the van. Law enforcement ruled out Cherrie Ann's family and suggested that her biological father may have been involved. However, they also ruled out kidnapping for ransom, as the family never received any ransom notes. Law enforcement briefly suspected a Massachusetts man of Cherrie Ann's abduction in 1994. They learned the man had abducted and killed one child and attempted to abduct another. He was ruled out, though, as he had a confirmed alibi on that particular day. In 1995, Cherrie Ann was officially declared dead. Janice McKinney addressed the court saying, "This is not over. We will always look for Cherrie. If nothing else, she'll always be in our hearts." Her family also refused to hold a funeral service. Janice said she still had hope that her daughter may be alive. Janice went on to say, "When people die, you have a body. You kiss them, you put them in the ground, and you say goodbye. That is something I never had." State Trooper Frank Jendesky continued working on the case for another 15 years. In an interview, Jendesky said the search for Cherrie Mahan had been terribly frustrating. However, he wanted to bring the case to a conclusion. Jendesky said he still received tips, including a call from a woman who believed she saw Cherrie Ann on an episode of Dr. Phil, and a letter from an inmate at a correctional facility in Ohio who said he may have information about Cherrie Ann's disappearance. None of the tips were, however, deemed credible. Jendesky retired in 2011, and another trooper was assigned to continue with the case. In 2019, Janice McKinney received a letter from someone who claimed they knew specific details about what happened to Cherrie Ann. Although authorities have not released the contents of the letter, they confirm it included specific names and locations which were thoroughly investigated. Authorities conducted an extensive search of a hunting camp along a river. As the letter indicated, Cherrie was killed and her remains were buried somewhere on the property. They also confirmed they contacted each person named in the letter and were unable to find any evidence proving they were involved. Janice, Cherrie's mother, still believes that someone knows something, and she prays every day that somebody will grow a conscience and tell someone. Janice also said she'll never give up until the day she dies, or until she finds out what happened to her daughter. In 2023, Janice got a tattoo on her left hand. The purple ink is stenciled from a note in Cherrie's handwriting when she was about 6 that says, "I love you, Cherrie." Janice also said, "I worked for 40 years in a nursing home. Death and dying is something I know about, but not knowing where she is, whether she is dead or alive, it's like a never-ending story. It sucked the life out of me." February will always be difficult for Janice, as the month marks Cherrie's disappearance and the eventual death of her husband 6 years ago. Despite the difficulty of remembering, it does not stop her from standing at the bottom of the driveway every year. I want to know what happened to her. I just want some closure. I want to know where she is, what happened, so I can put it to rest, said Janice. So, my dear friends, as always, if you know something, heard something, even if it's just idle gossip, if you just have an inkling about anything in this case, call Pennsylvania Crime Stoppers at 1-800-4PA-TIPS or State Police Butler Barracks at 724-284-8100. Okay, guys and girls, that's it from me for today. Until we meet again on the next one, please take good care of yourselves and each other. Bye.